Imagine being at a concert, celebrating your daughter's birthday, and realizing that a small act of kindness could change the event for the family behind you, that you have the ability to impact their day for the better. I'm Katrina. We're a multi-generational family, and we share stories here about my father's cognitive decline, my daughter homeschooling, and how God moves in our life. Last night, my daughter and I went into a For King and Country concert down in Orlando. We had the best time. We started with a glorious dinner at one of her favorite restaurants down at Disney at Ohana, and then we went over to the concert. And while we were there, we were enjoying our seats, and we were enjoying the neighbors around us. We had some great conversations before the concert started, and we were just fully in this celebratory mood. And the concert started, and it was amazing. For King and Country is always amazing. It's one of our favorite bands around here. We've seen them multiple times. It's always worth the money. It's fantastic. I was wearing earplugs. My daughter had her earplugs in. And while the concert was in the middle, all of a sudden I heard screaming, and it wasn't like excited screaming. It was like screaming of somebody who was not okay. So I took my earplug out and I listened, and what I heard was a young child, a young teenager, who was sitting there screaming, "I am not okay. I need to leave." And in that moment, what I heard was a person who was having a sensory experience to the amazing overload that we were all living in that moment. We have people in our life that have sensory issues, and I'm very aware of how they can dictate how events go, and how sometimes you even have to leave early, and the person can feel completely overwhelmed and get headaches, and it can be, depending on the person, it can just be way too much. And they were a family, and I'm sitting there and I feel that thing that bubbles up inside of me. And this time it wasn't that, this time it was how can I help this family? How can I stand in the gap for this family? And in that moment, I remembered that I had an unused spare pair of earplugs in my purse. And with that, I pulled them out. I handed my daughter my purse and I said, "Stay here. I'll be right back." And I stood up and I went around and I went over to the father and I said, "I have people in my life who have sensory issues, and I think your daughter's having a sensory event, and I have an extra pair of unused earplugs. Do you need them?" And he was, I think, expecting me to approach him and be like, "We'll make her stop." And he seemed very disarmed by the way that I approached him. He was very agitated because he's at a concert and his daughter's making a scene. And thank goodness it's loud. If you are the person in charge in that moment, that is a lot. He goes, "Actually, she has a pair of earplugs in. They're new. She's not used to them and she's figuring it out." And all of a sudden she leans over and her eyes are big and full of life. And she goes, "I'm not screaming because I don't want to be here. I'm screaming because I want to be here." She goes, "Ah," and you could just see this child, God bless her, she was having the time of her life, and she was overloaded on every level. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful. And the most beautiful part was, in that moment, I was able to look at her and go, "I am so glad you're here. Have the best time." She goes, "Thank you." And that was it. And I looked at the dad, I said, "Have a great concert." And I went back to my seat and I put my earplugs back in my purse for another time. And I sat there, and it's those moments where you're like, was that the right thing to do? I know that when I've been the person in charge of people with special abilities, sometimes I feel completely overwhelmed. I don't always know that I want people to approach me and help. And I don't always know that other people feel that same way. And I just kind of questioned myself. I stand in knowing that I had something that potentially could change this family's experience at this concert, that it could go from being potentially traumatic to something amazing. And I took that opportunity to approach them in the best way that I knew how in that moment, and the way that I would want somebody to approach me. And I hope that and pray that they felt supported, that they felt seen, supported, and not judged. Because the reality is that there are people, no matter where you go, that have sensory issues. And the most amazing thing we can do is support them and let them have the most amazing experience, because this young girl deserved to be there. She was having the time of her life, just like we were. We had a fantastic time. So I pose to you today, how would you have handled that situation? Are you somebody who supports somebody with sensory issues? Are you somebody who has sensory issues? Is there a better way that I could have handled this? And if so, how would you want somebody to handle it? And on the other side, would you have done it? Would you have stepped in that gap, hoping that you could make an impact for the better in this moment that was absolutely beautiful and glorious? I offer you those questions today. I offer you the idea that when we are out in the world and we are interacting with the people that surround us, how can we make their lives better? Because really, that's what life is all about. It's about being there for each other. Thank you for watching this video and for any thoughts you may have on the grand adventure that we had for my daughter's birthday. I pray that if this video touched you in any way, that you would buy me a cup of coffee. Links in the description below. But ultimately, I pray that you have come, that you have been filled, and that you go out into the world and overflow. Because if we all do that, we can truly change the world. So let's go change the world. Have a beautiful day.